My name is Morgan Hodgson, and this is my Pres 1 for SSP6101 for industry placement. So my placement was with the UTR Pro Tennis Tournament. I was there as a sports therapist. My mission was to support the players while developing my own practical skills. They came to me as a sports therapist, and I would then make my practical skills better from this. The values that we learned was professionalism, teamwork, learning and delivering high quality massage and care under supervision. So professionalism, learn how to speak to not only the athletes themselves, but also the parents, which obviously I won't have had to do yet. Speaking to other professionals, as there was other people doing placement on there as well, but also to my supervisor who would be supervising me throughout. The vision of this placement for myself was to grow into a confident sports therapist, using hands-on experience, as within the Scrum course itself, you only tend to treat one another rather than an actual athlete or someone who has genuinely come with you with the problem. So it just means that I could really apply my knowledge to what was in front of me. And then the people that we were treating was the athletes themselves, so the tennis players and the officials. As with the treating the officials as well, they're just as long. They were sat on them chairs for hours on end because the tennis game doesn't have a set amount of time that it's played for. So just an overview of my placement. Once again, I was a sports therapist or massage therapist. My supervisor was Chris Jenkins. He is a physiotherapist. He specialises in rugby, like that's his main place where he ideally works. However, he just is a sports therapist, a physiotherapist in general, so can do any sports, hence why he was at the tennis. He also lectures the Masters Rehabilitation sometimes, and he also owns his own clinic, so you can go to him outside of this. So the roles that we specifically had, we had to set up our treatment room in the morning, as it was just in the females' changing room in the tennis courts on campus, as it was a male-only event, so it meant that there shouldn't be any females other than myself really, around. But we did put a warning on the door that it wasn't in use and to use elsewhere for facilities. We set that up each morning. We had to book the beds from NIAC, bring them over, set them up each morning, write them down before each client, after every client, and then we had to take them down at the end of our day and lock them in the office, and then which obviously we then had to reset it up every morning. We then obviously gave pre, post and maintenance massage and observed courtside first aid. We couldn't do it ourselves, so it just meant we just watched Chris do it, which was so insightful itself. Just supported the players' preparation and recovery. So I found this placement really developed my practical skills, improved my confidence in live tournament settings, and gave me an insight into elite athlete care. One of these tennis players was actually 200th in the world, which obviously is incredible and just shows how high up this tournament was. And then improved my practical skills. Obviously, we had on the first couple of days we didn't have that many clients, but from then on we just had people one after the other pretty much. So just constantly getting to use our abilities, learning more from person to person, learning what each individual liked, what they didn't like. And obviously if someone came to us on the first day with some sort of problem they were having, they tend to come back the rest of the week. It just really gave me some confidence boosts. I just found that the placement really enhanced my clinical awareness as well, and professionalism, and the understanding of high performance in tennis. This is because professionalism, obviously, like I said earlier, I was speaking to people I wouldn't normally need to speak to. Obviously, within the Scrum course itself, we've never had to speak to someone's parents to be able to treat them. Like, we had one boy called Rupert. We spoke to his mother quite a lot. due to past injuries. So learning how to speak to them professionally. Obviously, the other people doing placement. We had sports analysis there as well, for example. So if someone like rolled their ankle, they'd be getting it all on video, so we could potentially look back on that. And then the high performance tennis environment, which meant that with like the pitch side first aid, we couldn't obviously go on, but we could watch Chris, who only had a certain amount of time to be able to diagnose whether they can stay on the court and carry on playing or off, and then another 3 minutes to decide what treatment he deemed best suitable for them. So then the key competencies required was strong communication, teamwork, time management, adaptability, and safe clinical practice. So obviously with strong communication, as I've repeated many times over, being able to talk to people around you. There were so many people there, in and out, the athletes, the officials, the lot. Like Chris obviously had to be able to have good communication with him, as he was our supervisor. What he needed to communicate, what was expected of us, we needed to communicate back whether we felt that we could do this or not, because obviously we've gone into this placement, he was knowing nothing about us other than that we're Scram students. Teamwork, me and Ben, who also did the placement, we had to have good teamwork because we had to work out what sort of things we'd be doing together, whether it was like easier for us to do separate massages, whether it might be easier for us to both treat one person, which leads on perfectly to the time management, as we could have someone coming in that was expecting an hour-long full-body massage. We could have someone coming in at the same time wanting a 10-minute massage, and then we could have someone waiting outside that wanted another 10-minute one. So obviously it'd be time management in the sense of I'll set on doing the hour-long one, and then he can just keep going with the nice quick ones. And then the safe clinical practice, just like being aware of my surroundings, making sure the bed's up properly, everything's wiped, everything's clean from one client to the next. Evidence of these competencies. So obviously the massage that was given was Chris deemed as competent, and that it was doing what it needed to do, what was expected from it. And then observing the pitch side first aid. So being able to watch Chris do all these assessments just from the athlete telling them how the injury felt, what they felt, if they felt a pop, if they felt a click, that sort of stuff, and him then knowing what assessment he deemed best and whether they should carry on or not. Obviously working with a multidisciplinary team. So like I said earlier, we had other people on placement that we could bounce off of. Chris himself, who was our supervisor, of course. Just being able to work all together, not getting each other's way, was really, really important and a good skill to learn, I think. So formal learning opportunities, obviously it meant that everything that I've learned at university through my course, I could put into practice in a real life setting. Also things as like my first aid that we got at the beginning of the year, it meant that I could see how that could potentially be used in practice, but also my ITEC level 3, using them hand skills and how they work in a real life setting. And then mentoring and peer. So from the guidance from Chris, the physiotherapist, I learned from his, obviously observing him, the things that he would be doing, but also his feedback. So at the end of the day, he would tell us what he thinks we've done well, what we can improve on, and just in general, like how a situation that we're in at that moment can transfer over into something else later on, or in another situation. Like he often referred back to rugby, because obviously where he had so much knowledge on it, we could refer back to that. So my career plan, so personal areas and professional areas for I think I can develop, is confidence in injury assessment. As I said earlier on, Chris was doing these assessments and he was so quick to be able to know which ones needed to be done, what they meant. And I just think I personally want to improve my confidence in them, so I would in turn be able to do it as quick as he was and as confident with the answers from them. Communication in high pressure environments. In a high pressure environment like the tennis, it was quite easy, as not the main physiotherapist there or sports therapist there, to take a step back when there was more of a situation or an injury that had occurred. So just having the confidence to be able to get involved with that conversation of what's going on, rather than just taking a step back and looking on it. which obviously then aligns with the developing the independence and decision making. So just circling back onto being able to do it myself without being dependent on Chris. My 18 to 36 month aspiration is that I'd like to ideally work in my job at home, which is just in a pub, for 6 to 8 months, and then go travelling around Asia and Australia, which then when I come back, I'll ideally do my master's in physiotherapy at Chichester University, so meaning that I can end up being a physiotherapist. And then top tip for future students, be proactive. If you see an opportunity, just take it, whether it's not what you're ideally wanting to go into. Tennis was not my preferred sport. I absolutely loved it. Ask your supervisor questions. Why doing this? How are you doing this? Why wouldn't you do this? When would you do this? It's also like you learn so much from them, from questions that you wouldn't obviously get told normally. Professional relationships, being known as someone who's professional can never harm you. If you're going into a workplace and you're known as someone that's not very professional and there's got someone next to you that's obviously professional, they're obviously going to take them. And just be open to learning in a fast-paced environment. It may seem stressful at first, but pressure makes diamonds, as they say. So, yeah, thank you for listening.